We are just 1 week out from the election, and Kamala Harris's team is doing everything it can to win over undecided voters. We know they've told Joe Biden to stay right away. Kamala Harris clearly doesn't want to be seen with him, but that hasn't stopped his wife, First Lady Jill Biden, from getting in front of the cameras. We know she likes the spotlight. Here she is with the First Lady of Minnesota, Gwen Walz, who's of course the wife of Tim Walz. And you tell me, is this duo making a difference?
Hi, this is Gwen.
And Jill.
And we are right here in Michigan, and we just wrapped up a great Women for Harris event. And we wanted to remind everyone to make a plan to vote.
We're both moms, and I'm a grandmom, and we know how busy you are.
Why do they speak to the cameras like that? Jill Biden puts on that voice like she's speaking to a toddler or someone with clear signs of cognitive decline. You know, just hearing that takes me back to the debate night when we all saw the way she spoke to her husband, who clearly has no clue what's going on.
Joe, you did such a great job. You answered every question. You knew all the facts.
That was on June 27. 3 weeks later, Joe Biden withdrew from the race, as much as that pained Jill and Hunter Biden, who clearly never wanted to give up their power. But let's look at Gwen Walz. She's been getting involved in the campaign ever since her husband became Kamala Harris's running mate. Here she is backing up Tim Walz, who's been labelled Tampon Tim by Republicans for his brilliant idea of making sure there are tampons in boys' bathrooms.
You know, if kids are hungry in school, what that does to brain and learning, you're not going to learn to read. So if you're talking about learning to read and closing gaps, then you better take away the barriers for that. If that's tampons, then that's tampons.
Okay. Here she is again, this time showing Americans that she can bake cookies.
Mixer is a hand mixer, and I usually just throw that in my suitcase. You never know when you're going to need a good mixer.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to need a good mixer. Look, this is my favourite from Gwen Walz.
52 days and we are turning the page! 52 days and it is bye-bye, Donald Trump!
You tell me, is that helping the Harris campaign or damaging it? Turn the page has been the Democrats' main message, which might have been effective if anyone, including the Vice President, could actually explain what it means.
Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
But
people
you're the
have
lever of
become.
power.
But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me.
Kamala Harris has delivered her closing argument in Washington, D.C., and it wouldn't be a speech from the Vice President if there wasn't some gaslighting.
It is time to stop pointing fingers. We have to stop pointing fingers.
This is coming from the woman who just a week ago called Trump a fascist. But there's more.
I will always tell you the truth, even if it is difficult to hear.
Yeah, unless, of course, it's about Joe Biden's mental health, because that is a lie that she kept up for years. But isn't it interesting watching Kamala Harris's campaign go from joy, do you remember that, to just fear and some more fear?
Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail.
Reform UK leader Nigel Farage joined Sky News host Paul Murray for his take on the election with just 7 days to go.
Man, a week to go. Finally, it's almost over. The signs are that Trump is almost over the line, but that's what Hillary thought just 8 years ago.
Yeah, the big M is with the Donald, and that's what matters. And the big M is hundreds of thousands, millions of simultaneous conversations that take place at the breakfast table, take place in a local bar, take place in the office, and you can see and feel that it's going Trump's way. He's got onto the key issues, the cost of living and the criminal gangs coming over the border, and he's not deviating. We've heard no recent talk of eating cats and dogs or things like that. and he's honed. I mean, it's funny, but it doesn't help in a way. Yeah. The Madison Square Gardens rally looked totally extraordinary. I'm going to be there in Scranton for his last rally. I honestly hand on heart believe, I'm 90% certain he will win.
So let's talk about the closing here, right? Harris has gone from vibes to he's a Nazi, all right? I like that Trump has gone from dogs and cats to she broke it, I'll fix it. It needs to be that clear. But the X factor around all of this is, of course, that extraordinary Joe Rogan interview between YouTube and available now on Twitter. 42.5 million people have watched it. So if you want to get an insight into how does he talk, how does he think, make your decision whether you like it or not, that is an extraordinary amount of people to get to in a weekend. And that's, I mean, this only came out on Friday.
Yeah, extraordinary, and I've listened to all of it. And what's good about it is it's not just about the front lines of politics and the political punch-ups. It's about who he is. It's about what he loves. I mean, listen to him on boxing. Listen to him on UFC. I mean, these are real passions for Donald. He loves this stuff. And I think he comes across during that interview as a very considered, actually quite thoughtful human being who clearly loves his family. No, look, I think the Joe Rogan interview probably is the thing above all that seals the deal.
Yeah, I mean, look, and also Harris, her plan, I think, in the next 24 hours, go back to the same spot that Donald Trump made the speech in and around January 6. I've seen left-wing groups come out in left-wing media and say, please shut up about the Nazi stuff, the Hitler stuff. It actually turns people off.
Yeah, and MSNBC, quite extraordinary that they interspersed coverage of Madison Square Gardens with scenes from Nuremberg in the 1930s. I mean, when the level of attack sinks to that depth, you know that the liberal left are losing. And none of this is going to win them a single vote. In fact, it reminds me of Hillary back in 2016 when she called Donald's supporters deplorables. Do you remember that? People suddenly had badges made up. I am a deplorable. No, I think everything's going the right way. Trump just needs to stay completely focused, stay on track, and above all, he's got to keep smiling. And I thought, the speech he gave in New York the other week, many of the other things he's done, the McDonald's stunt, I think when you see the happy side of Trump, the really human side of Trump, I think that makes him a lot more attractive.